The question often comes up, why is AI a good thing? Especially in education. It can be misused, that's for sure. In other words, you just type in a question, it gives you an answer, and you copy that answer down, and that's how you present your answer. That's negative, because how much does it require you to think? Look at this thing right here. This is a question. This is good for an essay question. So you're in an English class, or you're in a thought class or philosophy class, and you say, why does changing the way you represent a problem change what conclusions you can draw from it? So you're thinking, well, I'm not going to figure that out. I'll let AI figure that out. So let's see what happens. Let's just go ahead and use Mr. Chat and see what happens. That's pretty wordy, isn't it? Can you even read it? Ooh, changing the problem doesn't change the underlying reality. Fundamental, determines which structure is visible, nothing new is created, the conclusions can readily draw with the structure from your, so with the fundamental principle, nothing new is created. I'm going to copy that down and let's see, I'm going to put the answer down here, and let's see if my way of saying it, and see if that works. So the idea is, present what you think is the answer, and then we'll see how much you know about it. So I'm not going to copy down anything that's up above. Let's see, how can we get rid of what's there? Let's just scroll up or something. Oh man, that just keeps going on and on and on and on. So you could write a really long essay on that. So look, it's got spin. What was the question? Okay, I'll just copy this down so we won't be confused by all this other stuff up above. Okay, here's what we want to solve. Okay. Why does changing the way you represent a problem change what conclusions you can draw from it? Okay, now we're on our own. We're going to try to answer this without AI, and then all we'll do is say to AI, see what you think about my answer. Here is my answer to the question. Please which I would like you to critique. Okay, what are we going to do to come up with an answer? What conclusions you can draw from it? If the problem is presented in a specific framework for example, let's see, what kind of framework could we use for this? If the problem is presented in a specific framework, for example, let's pick up a problem. An arithmetic problem now let's see, a math problem. Let's be specific about that. A math problem with geometry then the conclusion would be expected to be in a geometric framework. If the math problem is presented, I'm not sure if this is the best way to do it, presented with algebra, then the conclusion would be algebraic rather than geometric. Okay. Give you a little time to think that through. I'm going to read it again. If the problem is presented in a specific framework, for example, a math problem with a math problem with a geometric framework, then the conclusion would be expected to be in a geometric problem. If the same math problem is presented with algebra, then the conclusion would be algebraic rather than geometric. Now, let's see how the artificial intelligence works with this. Okay, it's thinking. See, it tells me that it's good, but its problem has a problem. Below is a precise critique. Okay, what your answer gets right. A problem framed in a particular representation tends to yield conclusions expressed in the same representation. Geometry invites geometric conclusions. Algebra invites algebraic conclusions. This captures an important surface-level truth, but the language of the problem shapes the language of the answer. Okay. All right, that's good. So I did that. Here's where I screwed up a little bit. It implies conclusions themselves change. So you see, that was what was wrong with that. Your phrasing suggests that different representations lead to different conclusions rather than different expressions of the same underlying conclusions. So what we should say is the truths of the problem do not change. What changes is which truths are easy to see, prove, or interpret. As written, your answer risks sounding like representation alters reality than access to structure. It focuses on form, not structure. Your explanation emphasizes it misses the asymmetry between representations. Not all representations are equally powerful for all questions. Some representations make key properties obvious. Others obscure them entirely. Here's how we can kind of rephrase it. If a problem is presented within a certain framework, such as geometry or algebra, then the conclusions are, let me get the cursor up there, naturally expressed within the same framework. However, this does not mean the underlying conclusions change, rather different representations, which makes sense. If you're solving a problem two different ways, you should get the same answer. Then it gives you one type of answer and then another type of answer. So here's the point, is we can get the learning done from AI. We can defend our answer to the professor. So we will end up writing the answer, and we won't just, if we just copy it down, then we won't know really what the facts are. So the thing is, don't use AI just as don't let it do the work, because it's going to do it wrong, or it's going to do it in a way that you won't understand it. So do your own answer first. Write the essay yourself first. Then you can have AI critique it just like another study group member or another professor could critique it. Then you are doing the learning. Are you getting the point?